You are the best thing that has happened to this town in a long friggin' time. I'd like to take Ernie and deck him one.
I think everybody feels that way.
If you guys quit, I will kill him. I will kill him. I will kill him. But that's between us.
Yes, of course.
Don't let that get out.
No.
Donna Diner of Mountainair, New Mexico certainly threatened to kill an elected official, Councilman Ernie Lopez, if the police chief of Mountainair were to resign amid being exposed for all of his misdeeds. But the question is, was Donna Diner's threat credible? And when she made it on October 1st, 2021, I'm not entirely sure. But following the Mountainair Town Council meeting on August 2nd, 2022, it became perfectly clear that Donna Diner is not capable of controlling her emotions and her hands when she doesn't get what she wants. On that day, she was seen outside of a public meeting, physically attacking a pregnant woman and a man who tried to stand in between them to stop her attack, drawing blood on the man that tried to intervene and stop her. She was even so bold with her attack that she did it right in front of a Torrance County Sheriff's Sergeant, and it was even caught on his body camera. Did Donna Diner threaten to kill an elected public official?
I'd like to take Ernie and deck him one.
I think everybody feels that way.
If you guys quit, I will kill him.
And next the question is she capable or even likely of committing a violent crime? Unfortunately, yes. However, her death threat was contingent on something, and that was whether or not the police chief and his current officers stayed in Mountainair or resigned.
If you guys quit, I will kill him.
But now, every officer in Mountainair has either resigned or been terminated. The only one left is Chief Juan Reyes, and though we haven't seen anything official, rumor is that he'll be leaving in August or September. But if the rumors are true, and the chief actually does resign within the next few weeks, if I were Ernie Lopez, I would be genuinely worried that Donna Diner might come and fulfill her threat to murder him.
I will kill him.
And based on recent actions of Mayor Peter Nieto, it seems that he also realizes that staunch supporters of his, such as Donna Diner, and a handful of his other supporters out of Deer Canyon, New Mexico, are quite capable of turning to violence. He made the next public meeting on August 16th, 2022, only attendable by telephone, rather than in person. When Councilman Ernie Lopez, whose life was threatened, asked Town Clerk Dennis Fulfer why it was being done telephonically, Dennis Fulfer claimed that it was for safety concerns. But the question is Peter Nieto holding the meeting telephonically rather than in person because he's concerned about his supporters physically attacking or possibly killing people? Or is it because over the telephone he's able to mute people, whereas in person he's not?
You didn't vote.
You guys just voted to take my money before this meeting. You welfare whores sat here and voted on what public money you wanted to use from the federal government and the state. A welfare whore.
Take your fucking shit out of here. You're disgusting.
Typical Peter Eater turning violent.
Nice little redhead
You-
you got here.
Hey! You can... With all the drama and nonsense that a small handful of Mountainair residents and a big handful of Deer Canyon residents have tried to create, you may have forgotten what this is actually about. This is about a police department using excessive force, entering homes illegally, battering women, and the police chief and mayor allowing it to happen without intervening or doing anything about it. From the very beginning, this wasn't even supposed to be about Mayor Peter Nieto, or Dennis Fulfer, the town clerk, or any of the residents of Deer Canyon that don't even live in Mountainair that decided they wanted to take up the fight in support of police brutality. But the truth is that for me, it wasn't just about removing the dirty cops from Mountainair. It was about trying to remove their ability to become a police officer anywhere ever again. Because as we've seen so many times before, cops will abuse people in one community, only to resign when they get caught and move to the next town over to do the same thing. I actually genuinely believed that with Mayor Peter Nieto claiming to be a staunch supporter of the BLM, that it would be no problem at all getting him on board with actually holding these police accountable and trying to make sure that the next community is safe from their reign of terror. I genuinely believed when I started covering this that Mountainair, New Mexico was going to be the poster child for how to deal with bad cops in your community. I genuinely believed it was going to be as simple as mayor and council removing the cancer from the department, and reporting them to state authorities to try to make sure they didn't end up moving on to the next department. Unfortunately, I didn't know at the time that Mayor Peter Nieto and Chief Juan Reyes had made a pact to stick together no matter what.
Commitment with Peter. As long as he's the mayor, I will stay.
And while for me, none of this is left versus right or Democrat versus Republican, I do know where the party lines typically fall. And if we're all being honest with ourselves, we know that in general, Democrats are more likely to stand against police brutality than people who claim to be Republicans. Which is why I was genuinely blindsided by self-proclaimed staunch Democrat and BLM supporter Peter Nieto and his Democrat followers coming out in such strong support of police brutality in their own community. And a lot of people have asked, why are you even still covering this? Didn't the worst cop, Officer Brent Woodard, resign? The answer is yes, and that's one of the problems. When a cop resigns, they're able to just bounce to the next community and do the same thing over again. Mountainair Town Council, Mayor, and Chief had not only the ability, but the responsibility to make sure that Brent Woodard was terminated and properly reported to state officials to make sure that he could not do this in another New Mexico community. But they didn't. So I continued to dig to try to figure out why they would try so hard to protect a dirty cop and make sure that he's able to move on and do this again. Which is why I started digging further back and realizing that Woodard had been doing this for a lot longer than I realized. This is also the reason that I ended up coming across the story of Mike Shoemate, the officer at the department that tried to blow the whistle on Officer Woodard almost a year ago and ended up being retaliated against by the chief. Now Chief Reyes has been exposed for failing to act and remove Officer Woodard when he should have and report him to state authorities. He's also been exposed for retaliating against the officer that did report Woodard to state authorities. But still, every single meeting, one or two of the council members tries to put it on the agenda to vote to terminate Juan Reyes. But Peter Nieto continues to protect the chief, refusing to put it on the agenda to vote to terminate him. And so with so many people in and around Mountainair trying to distract from what this is actually about, there are two sides at these meetings. Those who are for police brutality and want it to continue in Mountainair, and those who are against it and want it to end, and the police who have done wrong to be held accountable. And that's why it's no surprise that of the crowd that came out to support police brutality on August 2nd at the town hall meeting, two of those people left with criminal charges of their own for becoming violent. Nancy Cervenka left with criminal charges for grabbing Small Town Audit's phone and smashing the finger that he had just had surgery on. Donna Diner left with criminal charges after trying to attack a pregnant woman in the parking lot and ending up hitting multiple people that got between her and the pregnant woman. Ernie Lopez is working on getting an order of protection against Donna Diner, who threatened to kill him if Chief Juan Reyes were to quit after being exposed. They are also looking into charges against Donna Diner for her threat against an elected official's life. In the meantime, Peter Nieto has moved town council meetings to telephone only rather than in person, and the town clerk cited safety as the reason. As per New Mexico Open Meetings Act, they are to facilitate everyone who wishes to attend without discrimination. The meeting is August 16th, 2022, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Please use the number posted below in the pinned comment and the description to call in. Try to be in early as we're expecting a lot of attendance from around the country, including you. If you have any trouble at all getting into the meeting telephonically, please record and document your troubles and send them to me to be forwarded as a complaint about public meeting violations.